Testing.
On air.
What's
Fantastic.
up? I'm Jacob Litzo, your Elixir mentor, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Elixir Mentor podcast. This is where we discuss everything related to Elixir, from interviews with enthusiasts, pioneers in the community, to innovative projects and libraries shaping Elixir's future. I'd like to welcome Ellie and Josep. They are co-authors of, now I have BEAMOps in my head, but what is the actual title of your book? I'll just let you guys introduce yourselves and talk about it.
Here it is.
Awesome.
It's called Engineering Elixir Applications, Navigate Each Stage of Software Delivery with Confidence.
Yeah.
Is what it's called.
It's so good. And I see you guys coined BEAMOps in my head, and that's all that is sticking now. I think it's a great word for it.
It's catchy.
Yeah. So why don't we start with just brief introductions about each of you, like what your background is and kind of what led to writing this book together.
You start.
My background. Do you want me to say something about myself, or just where do I come from?
Whatever you want.
Whatever I want to say, no?
Yeah, and like kind of what got you in the Elixir space, like all of that good stuff.
Well, that was a bit accidental. We were working in a company called The Book of Everyone, named The Book of Everyone, and there was a moment everything was written in PHP, and we had a CTO that was super bold, and he said that we needed to choose a new, more interesting technology in order to build a fantastic team, and we had to choose between Elixir and Go, and we decided to choose Elixir for the worst reason that you might want to pick a language, which is the syntax. We thought that everyone would be able to learn it easier, and we didn't know anything about OTP. And then we learned while we were transitioning into Elixir. That's it.
Mm-hmm. And my journey with Elixir is a lot shorter. I mean, I didn't really run into Elixir until I met Josep. When I started coding, I was doing Node, and I only really came to Elixir maybe about 2 years ago, 2.5, like just before we started writing the book. And that was kind of good for the book writing process because I didn't know that much, and which we were trying to kind of orientate the book towards a more beginner-friendly audience. And so it was quite good because Josep had all the knowledge, and then I kind of contextualized all that, and was able to hopefully put it in ways that people that didn't have necessarily a senior background could understand it.
Nice. There's a benefit to learning and teaching like in parallel, isn't there? Because you remember the pains.
Exactly. Yeah. And well, also to be able to teach anything, you have to understand it really well anyway. So it kind of forces you to hit the ground running and go at the deep end.
Yeah. No, that's
great. And the
magic
of the book is that at the beginning, we kind of shape a journey that made sense in order to cover all the stages of delivering a software product. And then when we would sit together to try to converge between the two of us, it's when that magic happened, and that's why the book we believe is really good.
Mm-hmm. We hope it's really good.
We hope. We've had positive feedback.
I'm like a third through it, and I think it's great. I think
thanks.
Like, honestly, it's I've had so many YouTube subscribers ask me to do DevOps stuff, and I've done, the past stuff, but I've never dove deep into DevOps because, one, I have a huge amount of imposter syndrome with it because I hack my way through it. Like, I'm a big fan of Docker Compose, and, I use my own DigitalOcean droplets, but I don't know if I'm doing things right, and I don't want to just say this is the way, guys. But so I love that you laid out an entire book on how you would do it, and I like that it's Elixir specific, and I love like the vast amount of topics you cover, even like node clusters and distribution and like all distributed, I should say, but like all of that, it's awesome.
Yeah, it definitely covers a lot. And like I say, we go through things like we introduced Terraform, Docker What, and Docker Compose, and Packer and everything kind of from a ground level. So even if you don't understand anything at all, then hopefully you can pick something up. And we also tried to write it in a way that if you do already understand it, the definitions aren't too long and it's not like 2 whole chapters on what is Docker, because that.
So what inspired the actual book in the first place? Are you a DevOps guy? Is that like your bread and butter?
I was working in Erlang Solutions, and I was hired in a new position because it was like what I consider is the real DevOps, because I was comfortable doing application layer, but at the same time I was comfortable doing any operational stuff. No? And then after spending some time, I wanted, when I joined Erlang Solutions, I wanted to learn Erlang. That was the reason why I went there. And then after spending some time with my manager, he kept on telling me that he wanted to be like the perfect engineer, an engineer that is able to deliver something working in a one-stop shop, you know, something that can tackle everything. So we built a course between me and him, in which you had a Phoenix, using Phoenix Live View in the front end. The business logic was done in Erlang. And then you would put on top things like Terraform for deploying to a Kubernetes cluster, CI/CD with GitHub Actions, and many other things. It's a super cool course, to be honest. You would send like messages from the Erlang backend to the Elixir, and it was super cool. No? And then one day, I had a conversation with Francesco Cesarini when I presented this course, and he was like, you know, these moments in life when someone says like a silly sentence or something that makes you like think, no? And he said, "This smells like a book." And I was like, oh, okay, maybe this is a book. And then we had a call with Manu Rubio that introduced us to Sophie De Benedetto, who we are deeply grateful to, and we love her. She's great. And with her, we tried to shape the journey. You mentioned before that there is one way to do things, or we presented a way to do things. This is just another way to do things. We use technologies to express some of the things that we believe in, but we don't think that you should get attached to these technologies. We try to present some concepts that you want to fulfill or to achieve when you are delivering a software product. We talk about things like environment integrity and other stuff. No? Mm-hmm. But this is basically the how it came through the idea. No? Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Well, like you said, you try to teach people to like think about things and use, even if they choose different technologies, what you're teaching or reiterating is like important things like environments and how do you deal with environment variables and what's the difference between like staging and production. And these are things that like you don't really learn it until you're like, I didn't learn it till I was on a job where I was like kind of thrown into a fire and had to learn it, you know? And it's nice when you can learn it at your own pace and not discover the hard way of environment variables and why you have config files and things like that, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't really want like a massive bug in production to be the reason why you discover all these things. It's, as you say, good to know it in advance and to understand what you're doing before it happens. Yeah,
you don't want to learn the hard way of why you don't like put API keys directly in your repositories or things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought your approach was a little different. I like that you kind of started with project management. Like you wouldn't think about that, right? when you're like
No.
DevOps, why would I care about project management? Explain like everything behind your thinking there.
Yeah, it was twofold. First of all, we wanted to try and introduce Terraform in a way that people could understand, because I don't know, it could potentially be confusing. So we wanted to use something that everybody would be familiar with, which is like tasks and then like a Kanban board and things like that. Because you might not know, I don't know, what an EC2 is or something like that. So rather than introducing those like two topics at the same time, to introduce Terraform using something kind of more simple. And the other one was also because I feel like in some teams, not in all teams, there can be some like, I don't know, conflict between product people and developers. And it can sometimes not always be the smoothest. And also project planning is relatively boring.
And we are about sharing the love.
Yeah. And so we wanted to maybe, if we can, like, I don't know, sprint planning is never the most fun meeting on your calendar every Friday or every Monday when you see it. So
no,
we
it's
were
not.
exactly, yeah. And so we were maybe kind of hoping that if we kind of put it into code and put it into a way that people or developers at least would like to see it, then maybe we could get them kind of more excited and create more synergy between product owners and coders.
You have inspired me to check out Terraform.
Oh, well, there you go.
That's the idea. That's it.
It worked.
Yeah. Because I haven't used it. I've used like, you know, Jira, ClickUp, GitHub Issues directly, and then like Linear and all these other apps, right? But I like kind of integrating it into part of your stack.
And it's also helpful if you're a contractor and you do lots of, I don't know, shorter projects. It's also a lot easier if you already have the basis and you already know, let's say if I'm coding a website from scratch or if I'm coding an app from scratch, then these are like the things that I need to do. I need to sit in really simple terms, do the front end, the server and the instrumentation.
Yeah.
And maybe a CI/CD pipeline.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You kind of have just like a config file to set up Terraform, right? And so you can kind of rinse and repeat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was also the idea. So you can create, if you're doing this on the regular, you can create a board, have a structure that you can use for everything. And I mean, it can spin up tasks. And
yeah, it works pretty well for bootstrapping. But then if we are completely fair, it goes against the way that Terraform works, because theoretically, with Terraform, what you are doing is managing the state of these resources. But we use this config file just to create the issues and the milestones once, no? Because after that you're going to be handling everything in the UI. But we also explain that. Another reason why we also decided to use GitHub is because it's like an easy stepping into the technology, and normally people think that it's more. It puts you back because you think about infrastructure, and when you think about infrastructure, it's like, oh, this is going to be a server or it's going to be a database. And Terraform is agnostic to cloud provider, is agnostic to. It's not only to handle big cloud. It can also handle things like anything that exposes an API. It could be GitHub, it could be Cloudflare records and things like that. And we think that this is something that people normally doesn't know. The first thing that they think is, okay, this is going to be like a cloud formation that handles some compute resources in AWS. No, it's more than that. You can handle lots of things. And the nice thing about this is that, for example, you can also have a provider for shops to handle your secrets, and then you can connect different providers. So let's say that you have a secret that is built after creating an EC2 instance because it's the private IP or whatever, I don't know. You could use that exported attribute and then pass it to the GitHub secret, which is super useful.
That is nice. It gives you a base of kind of structure to your overall project.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I also love, so like, I'm a big fan of Docker containers and all of that. Like, I don't fully, like my local environment, I don't usually have my like project in Docker, but I've considered it. But I always have my databases and other services that run. They're always running in Docker images, and then it just makes deploying your application so much easier once your Docker file is written, right? And so I think that's an awesome approach. Why don't we talk, like, for people that might not know what Docker is, do you want to kind of explain what Dockerizing apps it means?
Yes. Yeah, Dockerizing an app is kind of like packaging it, so it can be run in the same way on my machine, on Josep's machine, on your machine. So it kind of gets rid of that differences, what we were talking about earlier about environment integrity. It gets rid of those differences, so that if you run a Docker image, it'll be the same Docker image anywhere that you run it. And yeah, then you can create compose files or Docker compose files that allow you to run multiple Docker images at the same time. So you can have your Elixir application, you could have your database, you could have your, I don't know, your instrumentation services, your whatever you want, whatever is part of your application stack. You can run it in one compose file and have it all in one place and all neat and tidy.
Yeah, and they're all like in their own like localhost cluster. What would you call like everything when they're
isolated? They are isolated.
No, yeah, they're on it's all on the same Docker network, but each one runs in its own little container, so it's isolated from everything else.
But then it's still like communicating over just localhost between the services, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and if you make it to the chapter when we Dockerize everything, I don't know if it's in the Docker one or the Compose one, but it's super cool because we go step by step and we explain these isolations on how we build the Docker, we run it, and then when we run it, we specify the different parameters to the run command in order to work with this isolator. For example, we will create a network and then we would attach that container to the network and things like that. And we go step by step, doing all the things that you would do just by running a Docker Compose. So it helps you to understand, because you see Docker Compose, it's like, wow, this is beautiful and magic, it works, no? But you don't know what is happening behind the scenes. And when we are doing those commands directly with Docker, without Docker Compose, which is, I believe, super, super helpful. No?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, it gives you a lot of, it gives you agnosticism. You put another layer in between, which is the Docker image, no? But then it allows you to run everything mostly in all computers. There's another thing that we also touch in the CI chapter, I think it is, which is building multi-arc images. So sometimes when you are building with Docker, especially if you are a Mac lover, you will see that you can run that image because someone else has built it in another architecture. But we also tackle things like that, which is quite cool, I would say.
Yeah, I think
I'm excited for that.
I think it's cool that you go through so much too. Like you bring in like the CI, the CD, all these things that really help you set up your project to be successful, in my opinion, because I used to, like, when I first started like hacking my way through and like Docker was just magical and I didn't really understand what I was doing. When you start actually setting up all these systems, it just makes your life so much easier. And then like you have unit tests in your project that you can run through your CI and all these things. And it just puts you in such a better place with app health overall. And like I said, having a book where you can reference all this stuff, it's basically like, you know, from step 0 to 100, how to deploy your app and do it well.
Yeah, completely. And I think this is also a reason why we wrote it, is because we would have loved to have had something like this, or especially me, because I did a coding bootcamp, and so I didn't do software engineering or anything.
Me too.
Uni. No, you did it. You did it at uni.
No, but I mean, I would have loved to have this at an early stage.
You would have loved to have it.
Me too.
Because it just makes everything so much like easier. And like, as you said earlier, you don't have to kind of discover on the job. I mean, there are obviously things that you'll still discover like when you're working, because we can't cover everything. But yeah, it was something that was definitely missing from my knowledge when I was finishing up studying. And so hopefully if this can help other people.
Well, and people forget, like, DevOps is a career for a lot of people, right? Like, it can get so complicated that it's its own thing. And when you're on small teams, it usually falls on the backend engineer or one of the engineers to be the full DevOps person. And this is
totally.
And if you're setting up the original structure, it's just kind of good to be guided.
Yeah, I think this the person that you're talking about is the best audience for this book, no? Yeah, because I mean, in bigger corporations, DevOps is like its own role, and sometimes it's complicated from our point of view, because what we are trying to do is exactly the opposite with this book. We are trying to homogenize the roles and trying to like have cross-functional teams that can touch any step of the delivery process. No, as we said before, we are about sharing the love. And we believe that if we all know a little bit about all the stages, we can share the pain, we can share the love, no? Like teams in like Phoenix Live teams. You have access to the same domain, you share the same code base, and it works pretty well.
Well, like, I think the important thing, like why this book is perfect for the Elixir space too, is when your code base is Elixir, you're going to have a smaller dev team, just because I feel like you need less developers to get a lot further and to write fast code. And you want to be the DevOps engineer on your team as well. Like, and this gets you there.
Exactly.
So
hopefully.
I think like one question I have is, did your relationship get better or worse writing a book together?
It depends at what stage you probably would ask that question.
Am I right?
You're still alive, so that's a good sign.
Yes, exactly. I mean, to be honest, it was fine. As in, that makes me sound like I'm trying to, I don't know, paint roses on something that sucked. But no, it was good. We obviously work well together. We communicate well. And that was nice. And it's also like we're each other's #1 fans. So it was kind of nice to have that support whilst writing it. But I mean, yeah, it was hard.
Yeah.
And
I think it was perfect.
That was a smart answer. No.
I think it was lovely. I mean, obviously I was thinking now what you were talking, and there's been moments of tension, but the good thing about the fact that we were a couple is that we had to fix it. I mean, we had to burn the boats. I mean, there's no way out. We need to fix it, and that's always fantastic, because you can only grow. And obviously there's been moments of tension, and then there's been moments that we've been working 24/7, eating like prepared meals at home, but it's also been fantastic to live that with someone that you love.
I also think in a way it made it better, because if one person's writing a book, then that person will just be shut off wherever they're writing it, in the home office 24/7, and then the other person would be, I don't know, doing their stuff and whatever, and you'd kind of be like, oh well, this is boring and sucks.
Yeah, you both kind of understand what you're going through.
Yeah, exactly.
There's empathy.
Yeah. And I think we did probably like once each chapter we would have a big argument.
Yeah.
Either about because
wait, how many chapters are there?
There's 12. So
oh my gosh.
12 existential crises.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, so it was good though. I think we excel in different areas also, which I think made it better in a way, because kind of each person could kind of take their domain.
She excels in everything, and I'm good with technology.
You said it, not me.
I'm not good at anything. No, so I get it. But I find the working relationships when they work it's great, right? Like I had Parker and Shannon on from Oben, and they're amazing together, right? And then like I think about it, like I was like, I wonder if I could like build a product with my girlfriend or not. Maybe, but I could also see it adding like a lot of complications.
You don't know if you don't try it.
Yeah, true.
That's true. That is true. But yeah, I find it impressive and I think it's cool. It's like, because a lot of times like work and personal life are just very separate. Like you have separate lives and then you kind of get to share more this way. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it is good. And we also like understand exactly what the other's going through.
Yeah.
With, I don't know, everything. Well, now that we have, our company together, like it's all a lot more intertwined. Whereas before, maybe like 3 years ago, we were each had our like own separate jobs. And I was working at one company and he was working at another. But yeah, it's nice. We get to be together all the time.
Yes, really intense.
She gets to smack down all the time. No.
Correct. Yes, I think we've learned that maybe I'm a bit bossy.
No.
I wouldn't think that. When you go like you started like as you picked your like infrastructure and deployment options, what made you kind of choose like I'm not at this part in the book, so did you ended up using Docker Swarm, correct?
Yeah.
What made you choose that like over Kubernetes or like other options that you have?
To be honest, it was in the application process for the book. So you like when writing a book for PrideProg, you have to do a proposal, fill in a proposal, and we had initially put Kubernetes in our proposal, and it was talking with Sophie De Benedetto about our proposal, and she kind of said, I think it would be like super interesting, but Kubernetes is a big topic by itself. And I think if you're wanting to do a book that's the whole journey from start to finish, if you add in Kubernetes, it'll just be like too much because there's too much to say about it. And then kind of, if you're talking about Docker and then Kubernetes, I think it would just be too much information. So we should reduce our scope a bit.
And then also, as you said before, that you are used to have your Docker compose locally, no? And we are targeting people that want to take ownership on the infrastructure side. Then you decide if you use that technology or not in your project. We wouldn't, I mean, every project is going to be different. But when explaining environment integrity to someone, look at the dog.
Yeah, he likes to make an appearance.
It's a beautiful dog. So when you want to explain something like environment integrity to someone that is used to Docker composing in there, why don't you use exactly the same file for representing the same services in production? That was our idea. I think it came out of love and to make easy like learning this journey. But then, obviously, I don't think there's many people that use Swarm in production. Maybe we don't know.
It depends.
It depends, but maybe on premises and things like that, it might be useful. If you are using things like Portainer, you might want to use it, but the de facto option is Kubernetes or even cloud native stuff. No?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just to ease the process and thinking on transitioning or understanding the environment integrity stuff.
It makes sense to me. Like, honestly, I would want, like, as I'm choosing technologies, I would try to pick, you know, as many that kind of overlap that I could, you know. And I've never used Docker Swarm, so I actually don't know how it works in production, but I'd be curious to try it. Like, I'd be more willing to try it than not try it, you know, just because if you're already using Docker to have everything running in containers and build images, why not?
Well,
exactly.
The nice thing is that you can actually do a Docker Swarm init in your machine and do a Docker stack deploy in your machine and then you can just test how it works.
Mhm.
And that was also something that we wanted to show. No? I mean, the most problem the biggest problem that you might have when you are trying to deal with the things, the operational stuff, is that eventually you're going to face a barrier and you don't know how to reproduce locally that issue that you are having. And we are showing you that by using the same technologies across the stack or across different environments, you are able to do these things.
Yeah.
In fact, in our proposal, when we were talking about Kubernetes, we would do also Kubernetes in Docker to do the same thing locally and apply the same deployment scripts and so on. But
yeah, that is nice about running Docker locally. You can just kind of set your environment variable and go and see how it works, right? Because I feel like that's a nice learning curve too, is when things don't work the same way in production as they did in development, you know?
yeah.
Something's always a little different.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's painful actually. Sometimes it's like, okay, and you don't know what to do, you know who to ask. It's sad when you face that wall, and then you end up like, I don't know what to do next. I just need to wait until someone unblocks me.
Yeah.
Now,
you discuss handling different environments and the difference between them and why you have them, right?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, we mainly focus on the development environment and the production environment. I think this may be like a paragraph on staging.
Okay.
But yeah, so we don't go into too much detail about it.
Well, I mean, once you know what production is, that's staging, right? Like it should match.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, they should be the same.
Yeah. And you build the configuration files in Terraform to reproduce them.
Yeah.
So that paragraph actually, I don't know if it's telling that. I don't remember that paragraph, but it might be saying you might be able to reproduce this environment just by changing some variables in this Terraform configuration.
Yeah, is that aside I was thinking about. Yeah, which makes it super easy. And if you've got all your infrastructure defined in Terraform, you can just quickly spin up a new staging environment or a new, I don't know, testing environment or whatever, however you want to call it.
That's awesome.
That will be exactly the same.
Yeah, you made Terraform look so cool. And I'm like, how come I've never tried? Like, I've looked at it, right? But I've just like, you know, like when you're busy, you don't want to learn anything new. You're like, I don't have time for that. But now it makes me want to use it for my personal projects.
Yeah. Or you can learn OpenTofu or Pulumi. All of them work. I mean, as long as you have something that allows you to include different providers, which in the case of Terraform, a provider is like a dependency, a library. And each library has like the different instructions that you can do with an API. So as long as you have some technology that allows you to have different providers and connect the attributes that expose the different resources to other providers and handling the state, then it's good enough. No?
Mm-hmm.
We have a question from Spaceman. Will the book be useful for me if I want to deploy my application on my servers, not Amazon AWS? And I believe that's, you don't deploy on AWS, do you?
I mean, we deploy in the book, we deploy in AWS.
Oh, you do? Okay. But same concepts apply everywhere, especially once you're using Docker.
Yeah, exactly. It will definitely help you. Because as we say, it's not just it's not so much the where you're deploying to, it's kind of the process of deploying, if that makes sense. So it's not like based on the whole fact that it's just an EC2 instance.
Yeah. And may I ask, I would love to ask him if they could be more specific in terms of servers. Well, which server are we talking about when they say own servers?
Yeah, like are you just talking about like an Ubuntu like droplet or something, or are you actually running your own servers in your basement? But like,
well, if if it's your own servers in your basement, it's going to work for sure.
Right.
I mean, obviously, you need to avoid any AWS related stuff, but then you can deploy using Docker Swarm, because what you need to do is find a way to, for example, when we build the images for the servers and using Packer, instead of building them for AWS, you build it for your VM or something like that, and then you install a Swarm, and you run the deploy script using the same commands. And that's what we are trying to do in the whole book, to be agnostic as much as possible. Obviously, we had to choose a cloud provider, but if we were asked by BlackRock to write another book and say, hey, let's change the provider and use GCP, it would be super easy for us, because or let's deploy into an on-premise infrastructure. It would also be easier, because all the technologies that we're using allow us to switch easily.
Mm-hmm.
He said to be, for example, VPS Hetzner, which I just
that works.
Yeah,
that works.
Yeah, because you're just picking.
That works. Everyone is talking about Hetzner now. In fact, one of the reviewers of the book and previous CTO, who I believe is a friend of yours, or you know him, Ziad Maki, told me if I could help him.
Yeah, he reached out to me, and I was like, yeah, absolutely, I want them on as guests.
Yeah, he's our biggest fan.
Mm-hmm.
I love him.
Yeah, he's awesome. I'm trying to get him on as a guest, and he's always so busy.
You should bring him. I'm going to tell you something. He's in the cover of our book.
He's our reviewer. Wow.
Awesome. And he was one of the reviewers, and many of the ideas, obviously there was something that came from my own, but I think the interest in all this journey, we were super aligned whenever we were together, and he's been an inspiration in all of this process. So yeah, I think you should definitely take him in.
Yeah, he's all he has cool projects going on. I was like, dude, come on, and he's just like, I can't right now, I'm too busy. So
he needs to find the time.
We'll push him.
We'll push him.
Perfect. But yeah, he would be great to have on. And yeah, I randomly, I met him. I've only digitally met him, but he reached out to me just to tell me how much he loves what I'm doing with my YouTube channel. And yeah, we just became friends over that. And he's like, if there's anything I can do to help you, let me know. So super nice guy.
He's fantastic. Great. He's fantastic. We recommend you to spend more time with him.
Dude, I wish I could meet everyone, all my guests, at some point in person. I think it would be awesome. We got to all pick the same conference and go one year.
Yeah.
Or maybe a ski trip.
Oh, there we go. Everyone should come to Park City, and we can have some nice skiing. I mean, this year our snow kind of sucks, but hopefully next year the snow will be good.
That's a shame, because we just come back from France, and the snow is good, right?
It was fantastic. I almost cry every day.
Japan is getting dumped on too right now.
Yeah, everyone's talking about Japan.
This is so weird. I've never heard about skiing in Japan before, but this year I think maybe 15 people have mentioned skiing in Japan. And it's
what's funny is, so my brother-in-law is Australian, and he goes to Japan all the time to ski because it's a lot closer than coming out to the United States, obviously. But I only heard it from him. And then last year, all of a sudden, there must have been some sort of tourism campaign, because all my friends around here are like, I'm going to Japan to ski. And I was like, how is this a thing all of a sudden? But yeah, apparently they have really awesome snow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's on our list. I mean, I've never been to, or neither of us have ever been to Japan, so I would love to go anywhere in Japan. But
I wouldn't think about going to ski,
Japan's a bucket list item for sure, but I think I will make it a bucket list during the winter, because I want to ski.
Mm-hmm.
All these people that like their warm weather, I'll follow the powder and hang out in the mountains.
I think you do the same, no?
Yeah, I have this dream. We were even thinking, because I realized I completely forgot how much I love to snowboard. I'm not a skier, sorry.
I
and we
forgive
went.
you. I can snowboard too. I'm just
Thank you.
I hit less trees on skis. So
I thought about maybe trying ski again, but I'm too obsessed with the board, and I enjoy it. I mean, a lot. So yeah, I completely forgot how in love I was with snowboarding, because we moved to the UK 7 years ago, 5 years ago, and I think the last time that I went to the snow was 2 years prior to that. So it's been like forgotten. And then we went 2 weeks ago, and it was like, wow, I love this. I'm obsessed with this. And we even consider the maybe going for a season. I don't know if we're going to have projects, money, or a lot, maybe being able to do that, but it would be lovely to work from the Alps or some other nice ski resort and stay there until, okay, I'm going to do it every day.
I think you should.
I would love that.
I think that sounds like a great plan.
Yeah.
That's like I've only gotten out once this season and I'm bummed, and I just bought new skis, but I am going tomorrow. I'm going up to Idaho. They've been getting more snow than what we've gotten down in Utah here, so it'll be fun.
I'm jealous. In the UK, there's no snow.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's maybe like one not even mountain in Scotland where it snows, but that's about it.
Okay. I was going to ask, is there ever snow or not really?
No, I mean, the further north you go, the more it snows, but it's not like a regular occurrence. It's not like every winter it snows. It's kind of, oh, wow, it snowed.
At least like hopping around Europe is so easy for you, you know? Like I feel like traveling in Europe and jumping on a short flight or train ride is so much easier than
yeah,
US
exactly.
travel,
I mean,
you know?
Yeah, when we went to the Alps, we flew to Geneva, and it was, I don't know, an hour and a half. So it was
Nice.
super
Yeah,
quick.
that's awesome.
But I love to go to the States.
Skiing. Or
Yeah.
snowboarding.
Well, snowboarding.
Come on out. If you ever are here, you got to let me know. Utah is a great place because there's so many resorts kind of all nested in together, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
We'll put it on our list.
Yeah.
We had to get
So
an Elixir conference in like Salt Lake City in the winter, and then everyone can go skiing at like Park City, Sundance, Brighton, Snowbird, wherever, you know?
That is a good idea.
That is the best idea ever.
I don't know who we
You heard
gotta
it here
get in
first.
touch with, but we gotta get it going.
Yeah.
Talk to Jim.
Or Lars, or I don't know. There's lots of conference now, no?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. Do you guys have any conferences planned? Because I've been trying to talk myself into going to one this year, but I haven't pulled the trigger.
We are going to, what's it called? Goatmire conference
yes.
in Sweden in September.
Okay, nice. That would be fun.
September, October.
Yeah. Is it in September? Yeah, I think it's in the first week of September.
Okay.
Yeah, which should be good. Neither of us, well, he's been to Stockholm once. It's not in Stockholm. It's in the west of Sweden.
Göteborg.
It's, I think just south of Gothenburg.
Okay.
Which
It
should
looks
be
like
fun,
a cool
yeah.
place if I remember. I think I saw a post about it. It's like kind of not around anything. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere, right?
From what we've seen on maps, yes.
Yes, but those are our favorite places. No?
Yeah. I mean, Sweden's meant to be beautiful.
Yeah.
And I mean, hopefully we'll catch the end of summer.
Yeah.
So yeah, it should be good. And the group of people, the speakers that have been announced.
Yeah.
Good.
The most important thing is the company, no?
Yeah,
we are
for
super
sure.
excited to see Sasha.
Yes, that's really
we fell in love with Sasha at Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
And actually he mentioned us to Lars. That's why we are going to that conference.
Oh, nice.
So we
That's
are really
awesome.
thankful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sasha is great.
Yeah.
It was either his book or Bruce Tate's book. That was like my first Elixir book I picked up when I started building an Elixir. So yeah, those two guys are awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are great. Yeah, Elixir in Action is
It's great.
amazing.
We've never met Bruce Tate, but I love
that
to
is
meet
true.
him.
I haven't met any Elixir people really in person, so it's always just been like this. But yeah, Bruce Tate and his wife Maggie, like awesome people, and then Sasha, like all those guys. I haven't had
You
any
need to go to a
guests.
conference.
What's that?
You need to go to a conference.
I know, I do. I had Lisbon planned last year. I was going to Lisbon, and I had to cancel the morning of my trip because I woke up like with the worst flu of my life. So that was
such
a
a shame.
bummer. Yeah. Because I was looking forward to a Lisbon trip. That would have been so much fun.
And Lisbon's a great city as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Have you ever had a pastel de nata?
I don't even know what that means.
It's kind of like a custard tart.
Oh, okay.
Really good. It's nice and sweet, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
It sounds great. Sounds like something you want with like a cup of coffee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you definitely do. Yeah. So good.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, I was thinking before. I forgot the name of this person that asked about Hetzner. So
Spaceman.
Spaceman.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Spaceman. How
Yeah.
could you forget that? No.
I'm really bad with names.
Me too. And
No,
it's a
what's
random
my name?
username.
So just to tell him that if he wants to, if they, Spaceman is a man. So
Yeah.
So if he wants to reach us and we can talk about this, about how to do it with Hetzner. No?
Yeah, awesome.
If
I
you can
think
reach-
like honestly, like read this book. I think you'll be in a lot better place than you think, even with shifting technologies, especially if you're like already familiar with Hetzner, right? Because you can, because everything in your book so far, I can apply directly to a digital ocean droplet. You know, it's all just
Yeah,
kind
you
of
just-
knowing what pieces to put together.
Exactly. You just change the resource, but the concept is exactly the same.
And I also love that you do you dive into auto scaling and like all of the deployment stuff behind auto scaling and then observability, because like that stuff, are there good resources in Elixir for it? I feel like not really. There's some good libraries, but there's not really a good way to how to use them.
Not really. And especially mixed with distributing the application as an Erlang distributed cluster. No, we also focus a lot on that because we were scared about that, writing about that at the beginning. And it was Sophie De Benedetto who pushed us to do so. And many times in the past, I would deploy something as a distributed Erlang and I wouldn't know why I'm doing this. Okay, I'm using DNS cluster, I'm using lib cluster, and I want things to be connected. I want the Erlang nodes to be connected, but I don't know why. And we make a big job to understand why, no? Like, for example, the fact that when you do poop soup, it works in the same way if you are just using one instance or you have all of them connected. No? The fact that you can just publish a message and you see in all your instances replicating the same behavior without doing anything else, just out of the box, it's something super powerful. And sometimes it's hard to express this to someone from outside the community. And I think we've done a good job in terms of helping out.
We developed an application that people deploy in the book that they don't have to like code themselves. We've already done it, and we have the 2 Docker images for it. And it's an example of why connecting all your distributed nodes is a good idea. So it's a Kanban board, and there's a to-do column and a in progress column, I think. And if they're not connected, if you move a task from one column to the other in one of the instances or one of your nodes, it's not reflected in the other because they can't communicate with each other and they don't know anything about it. But as soon as you connect the nodes, then as soon as you move one task from one column to the other, it's reflected in all of the nodes in your system. So we tried to kind of create a tangible example and a visual example of how you can see why that's a good idea.
And all through like message passing, I'm assuming, right? Like
Yes.
Yeah, the power, right? It's so cool. It's almost magic.
Yeah. And we also hope to make operational people understand that it also simplifies operating Beam applications, because in this case, if you wanted to have some similar behavior with other technologies, you would have to have a Redis, you would have to do PubSub subscribers to all these messages, and all your applications subscribe to these queues. And this is out of the box. You just connect your nodes, you deploy Elixir and with the nodes connected, and it just works.
Yeah, and with Elixir,
fantastic.
you don't need Redis anymore, really.
Nah.
There's not many, like, because you can do it all with Erlang and like ETS tables or whatever you need to do, right?
Yeah. We are obsessed with that table.
That table in Sasha's book and Elixir in Action. I think it's maybe in chapter 1, and there's a table and it says all these different things. And with other technologies, you need one technology to do this, another technology to do that, another one to do this, and then the column, and it's just Erlang.
Yeah.
That's,
by the way,
such a good book. I should reread it just because I feel like it's one of those books that it's just good to like brush up on your Elixir skills.
I mean, I'm currently reading it.
Yeah,
nice. I'm currently like, wow, yeah, good.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a good book.
Alex Kotmos's new book,
Elixir Patterns.
Elixir Patterns. It's like so good because it's like
it's really good.
Like,
it's really good.
It's kind of like less about patterns, but like more about like little tricks you should know as a Elixir developer. It's just so good. I mean, I shouldn't say it's less about patterns, but like there's just so many good development tricks that you might not know as an Elixir developer.
I think it's a sexy book.
Yeah, it's great.
Have you read it? I haven't read it. I should read it.
Yeah. I have it. I bought it. And I started reading it, but it was in beta. And then I stopped. And I don't know why I did that. I should be on top of it because it was fantastic. I remember one really cool thing about how to enable or disable gen servers depending on the environment or via environment variables, which was super, super useful. And there are lots of little tricks like this that are super cool. Things that I didn't know.
Yeah, a lot of like the process stuff and gen server stuff from his book are like, there's just so much valuable information there. And I think
it's like every word is valuable.
It's officially out of beta. They just released like 1.0 or maybe even 1 point something just really recently.
Oh, nice. Oh, wow. I'll definitely read it.
Yeah. We definitely recommend it. You didn't know about this one, but I'm obsessed with this book. So yeah, I definitely recommend it. And one thing that I wanted to mention earlier, we said that we created this app, and Ricardo Garcia was a big contributor for this app. He created all the Kanban stuff, and then we kind of co-authored the stuff related to the infrastructure page, which is the tool that we use to actually teach some of the concepts, no? But we couldn't have done this without him. So thank you.
Yeah, big shout out to him.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And the stats or the infrastructure page that Josep was mentioning is it's a page where you can visualize your infrastructure. So we let you visualize all the different containers in your Docker Swarm and everything that's running and all the different nodes in your Swarm. And when you get to the auto-scaling chapter, there's a button that allows you to stress your application. And so when you press the button, you can see the logs of your auto-scaling group, and then you can see your group scale up, and so you'll visually see the nodes go from 3 to 5. And then once the CPU calms down a bit, you'll then see the CPU level go down a bit, and then you'll see it descale, and so you'll then see it go down from 5 nodes to 3.
That's awesome. Very cool.
Yeah, which was something that, again, we would have loved to have had when we were learning about these kind of concepts.
For real, like to get your hands on like a real project like that too, and like make it so simple to test. That's really cool. I love that. Yeah, I'm excited to get through your book. I feel like I'm going to say
it's a long book.
It's
long.
I know, that's why I'm not as far as I wanted to be, because I'm reading it. And like the problem, like with me, at least when I read technical books, I always try to like read it once through without doing anything, right? I try to just absorb things, and then I read it again and do like the examples and follow along. I mean, I don't always do the examples. Sometimes I'll do it like in my own projects, but apply the same concepts. So it takes me a long time to read technical books. But
no, me too. I could never read a technical. It takes me like a whole day to read a chapter.
Yeah.
And like implement everything properly.
Yeah.
if I'm not like skimming it. So I don't know how people read books in a day.
I can't even read a fiction book in a day.
No, me neither.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it's like I like to fully understand something. So like I'll brush through it, but if I'm like, what did I just read? I'll read it again. And then it's like, okay, I think I got it. And then I go on. And then I have to read it again to apply my knowledge.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, same happens to me.
So
I
I'm glad to
remember-
know that I'm not like, the slow one. We all have the same process, it sounds like.
No, definitely not. No, yeah. Well, it's also a lot of information that you're taking in. So
It is. And unfortunately, it's really hard to read technical books before bed because I'll fall asleep in like a paragraph.
Yeah.
No offense,
Yeah, either that-
no offense to you guys. I think your writing is great. It's just
Thank
the
you.
subject matter.
no, yeah, it's not. Well, also you kind of need to be taking notes as well because I learn. I don't really learn if I just read something. I don't learn. I have to read and then take notes.
Or go through the examples and implement them. No?
No, but even if I do that, I still have to take notes.
Ah, sí?
Yeah, like I have a markdown file for each chapter I read, and then I have to physically write out. This is what I don't know a gen server does, or whatever I'm reading about. Otherwise, I don't understand.
I have to take notes or I don't retain it. It's like in one ear, out the other. Sometimes like, so like I'll like handwrite notes on my iPad, which is good, but that slows me down because handwriting is so much slower than like typing it up, But I don't know. I feel like I retain better if I handwrite versus typing. And then I don't know. It takes me a long time to learn, guys. It just, it's a slow process.
Well, I was thinking that I also take lots of notes, but then it's messy because I take in markdowns and in different places. There is no order, there is no pattern. And then I think it's being useful, but then I don't know if it is just because it's messy.
I started looking into like research platforms, like made for like research documents and like, what do they call the like thesis stuff, where you have a lot of research and sources and lots of things that you cite. I started looking into different platforms like that because it like mind maps your notes, right? All based around a subject. And I'm like, I wonder if I could apply this to just my own learning. Like, okay, I'm learning DevOps. That's like the main thing, right? And then you like take all your snippets. So you take your, I don't know, Docker Swarm, you have your notes and all your references, and then you can like easily like take your mind map and find things again. So I might like try to apply that. And then you organize your notes a little bit instead of like, what is the app that I like right now? Obsidian. So like I just have all my markdown notes, but they're scattered all over the place and not really connected. So I don't know. I'm always looking for better ways to organize my stuff.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah, mind map's a good idea because then you've also got. I'm a very visual kind of. Well, I'm a visual learner, but also a visual rememberer. Right? And like when I was, I don't know, revising for my exams when I was at school, I would always be able to, if I did like a really pretty diagram, I could then recall that in my brain during the exam and like see like, right, this piece of text is on there, over there on the page. It's not that like I don't have a photographic memory, but I could just kind of visualize what info was where. So maybe a mind map is a good idea.
Yeah, I'm jealous of people with photographic memories. I wish I had that power.
I'm jealous about people with memory.
Memory alone would be nice, yes. Like, I don't remember what I worked on yesterday. I had to like take notes so I can tell people.
What is my name?
Vitali recommended Consensus AI. It's an AI search engine for research, so that's kind of cool. See, I think like this might be good for finding information, but I'm trying to remember. Here, let me pull it up. I think I have it in my browser on my iPad. There's like a, No.
You mentioned Obsidian.
I like Obsidian. That's like, it's kind of just like a markdown notes though. Like you can have things in folders and different files. But now it's going to
Yeah,
tell
I think
me.
the issue with all these tools, and it depends. If it's for rendering something, okay, use something like Mermaid maybe and put it in a markdown and just try to render that somewhere, no? You can do flowcharts and things like that if it's a
Yeah.
mind map.
My problem is I
But the
try to
problem is-
avoid subscriptions because if you're not careful, you'll end up having like 100 subscriptions to tools you barely use.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think our business has like 1 million of this.
No, we are cutting.
Well, now we are.
Oh, Zotero looks interesting. So yeah, that one's kind of cool. It's kind of like it allows you to like kind of write organized chapters and then have all the references to all your research. So, but I don't think that's the mind mapping one, but I don't know. I won't waste time. But there's some cool options out there.
Yeah, but for me, the only problem with all these tools is the transition between the others, because in the end you want to have these things somewhere that you can reach easily, but then you want to apply them somewhere else, no? So
Yeah.
switching between the tools and maybe the actual implementation, or it's where I struggle with, because then there's a lot of context switch and I get distracted.
Yeah, you need the solution the perfect solution for your process.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, one thing I am really thankful for is I've been in Elixir now full time for like 4 years, and I don't have to context switch between Node backends, Elixir, iOS development, and all that. Like it kind of helps me maintain my sanity.
Yeah, having everything there. You're right, and not having to go from one to the other.
Where are you working now, if we can ask?
I'm working at a company called Collects, and it's pretty cool. It's a trading card app where you can like take a picture of your trading cards or like Pokemon cards, whatever it may be, and you can store it to a collection. It can get connected to other ones, and it kind of like it helps you like know the value of it, so you know how much it's worth, and then you can sell it on our marketplace and connect with other buyers and sellers. It's a pretty cool app, and their whole back end is like Absinthe and Elixir, and so it's fun. They have a lot of users, so I'm learning a lot about scaling and like efficient database queries and things like that, like stuff you don't have to worry about when you only have 1,000, 2,000 users. They have something like they're at the point where they're having like almost 300,000 active users a day. So
wow,
it's big.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I'm learning a lot. And
are you looking for engineers? We are looking for contracts.
I don't think currently. I think I'm their last hire for a while, but it's a cool company. I'll definitely keep you guys in mind.
It sounds cool.
Did you trade Pokemon cards when you were younger?
No, but I used to trade Pokemons, and I used to play with the big Game Boy, and there was a trick to clone Pokemons. I don't know if you remember that. You have like a USB wire, and you would use the Game Boy, and then when the transfer was happening, you too would like turn off the Game Boy, and you would copy the Pokemon.
Oh, that's awesome.
You didn't know that.
No.
I remember like I had the old school Game Boy, like the big gray one with the green screen, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember all the wild attachments you could get for it. Like I had an external battery pack and like all these crazy things. We've come a long way.
Yeah, everything was more physical.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. You had to glue the cartridge if it wouldn't work. So
I will take it out, blow on it, and put it back in.
Yeah.
I'm not actually sure if that worked, but it seemed like it did.
I believed it, so that's what matters.
Well, and then like Nintendo and Nintendo 64 were like my big gaming systems, and then I kind of I stopped gaming after those. But I remember I don't know if I should be proud of this or
GoldenEye.
But GoldenEye. So I still have Nintendo 64 at my parents' house. So like when I'm back there on vacation and stuff, if I play GoldenEye, I am still awesome, and I remember all the spawning points. It's ridiculous.
I don't remember them, but I would love to play again to GoldenEye.
Yeah.
I was a fan of the Golden Gun. You would kill with one shot, no?
Yeah. Oh man, that was such a good game. They had to and they tried to like remake it so many times, and it just never hit the same way. That's
my favorite game of the 64. Say again, sorry?
Oh no, go ahead. I was gonna say the 64 just nailed it with GoldenEye, but no other system could do it again.
Yeah, it was fantastic, and I remember playing multiplayer. But my favorite game was Ocarina of Time. It was my first Zelda, and I've been all my life obsessed with Zelda. But then lately, I can't play. So whenever we get a new Zelda game,
no, I play.
she overtakes.
It sounds like you need
a watcher.
You need 2 Switches or whatever platform you're on.
Yeah, definitely. Well, no, I think you played Breath of the Wild before I did, and you completed it, and then I completed it.
Yes, that's true. But that's the only one. I mean,
what was the new one called?
The Link's Awakening.
Oh yeah, I played that.
You completely. I was playing the story, and she took ownership.
took the controller and was like, no, me.
Poor guy.
Yeah, I know, bless.
No, I love to watch. I like to watch people playing video games, and especially with someone that you love. I don't know. We spend a lot of time with the Switch, and I think it's fantastic to play games like New Super Mario Bros. We are obsessed with Mario.
Okay, nice.
In fact, we were super excited to go this year to the Orlando Elixir Conf. You should go to the Orlando Elixir Conf because the new Super Mario World theme park is going to be open, I think.
Oh, nice. Maybe that's in the summer at some point, right? Is it in June?
I think it was in August, no?
Last year it was in August. I don't know when it is this year.
Yeah.
That would be a good one. I have a sister that lives in Florida, so it's a good excuse to get there and visit.
Yeah. We still need to think if we are going to be able to make it, but we really wanted to go because of this reason. Now I'm a bit sad because I don't know the last time that we play a game, no? We should try to find one.
You should, yeah.
I think we are missing.
Well, I don't know if there are any good ones out.
There is one new Mario that she doesn't like. I don't know why.
I like the Switch does the multiplayer games so well, like the couch co-op games. It's fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I've told myself I was like gonna relax and start playing video games again, and I got a Steam Deck, and I don't have any time. I never play the thing.
It is a commitment also, because I think once you start playing, you then don't stop playing.
Right, so exactly. And it's hard. Like I'm lucky to have like an hour to put aside where I can do it, and then it's more just like I get like 20 minutes into a game, and I'm like I have to get back to the real world.
Yeah.
There are 2 games that I'm struggling to finish, and I packed them completely, and it's painful when you do that. It's like you are about to kill the final boss and you can't do it. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So your book is completely out, or is it in beta right now?
It's completely out.
It is completely out.
It's officially released.
You can get physical copies. We got our first ones in the post last week. It came out in the 18th of December was our
okay. Because I couldn't remember, because I picked it up. I picked up the e version, and I couldn't remember if it was beta or not. But so that's exciting. It's officially out. Not too many changes will happen anymore.
No, well, if any changes happen, that'll be version 2. But no, it's all the content is locked in now. I think it was in beta for about 7-8 months, I think.
How's the writing process? Like, would you do it again? Was it hard? I mean, obviously it's hard. I couldn't imagine writing a book. Like, recording content is as far as I go. I don't know if I have the patience to write a book, but what was it like for your perspective?
It was a long process. I mean, we started it. So you first made the application in October of 2022, and
I think we did the application together.
well,
The first
yeah,
call, I did
the first call, yeah, was in October 2022, and then the book was finally published in December of 2024. So from the beginning of the idea until the finished version, it was just over 2 years. So it was a long process, and you're right. You do kind of have to be, well, you do have to be patient, but also not, because there's so much work that goes into it that you kind of just go doom, 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 doom,
Yeah.
doom, doom. And yes, I think we would do it again. Maybe not straight away, because I think we both want to breathe
Yeah.
a bit first. But yeah, I think we probably would write another one. And it was a good experience. It was very full on, I would say, for the first maybe 18 months. And then the last 6 months were way more relaxed, because it was then going backwards and forwards with the editor, or with our editor, going through final revisions, whether this word is better than this word, or making sure the code fits nicely inside the margins. It was kind of more aesthetic changes rather than actual content writing.
Yeah, it was great, and I think PragProg has a fantastic process in place to help the authors, and they are on top of you, and they help you with all the stages of these processes, and it's really good. Also, they give you freedom to actually change some stuff, and they've been super understanding with us. And then obviously there are some technical complexities that you need to navigate, but I think we did the right thing, which was choosing Nix for building, for sharing all the tools that you use for the writing process. Like, for example, when you wanted to build the book, you use Ruby to build the book. And we shared all this tooling, all the things that we needed to build the book, hooks for checks before committing anything, and other stuff. We would share the everything with Nix, and I think it was great. We are planning to write a blog post about that process too. Eric has written a blog post about all the building process, but we are planning the writing process. But we are also planning to write another post about all the technical aspects that we had to follow.
That would be super beneficial for sure.
Yes, and yeah, because when you think about writing a book, maybe there are lots of things that scare you and that push you back, no? And the idea about sharing this blog post and even give some talks about it is to try to remove any unknowns, so more people write more books. And yeah. Then everything is easy.
Yeah, I think about writing a book, the most daunting thing is handing in your proposal, or thinking that you have something interesting enough to say that you could write a book.
The first jump, no?
Yeah, so it's jumping in. But once you've made that leap, the book writing process is, I mean, I'm not going to say it's easy, because it was a lot of work, but it's easy-ish.
Yeah.
So yeah,
you need to follow the same practices that we explain in our book.
Yeah.
You need to be able to set yourself in a position in which you can actually iterate on the things that you need to do, which is writing chapters, and write the code for the chapters that you use in your book. And you need to test that code, and you need to have a CI in place for those chapters, which is something that you can do while you're writing the book. And things like that. And we follow exactly the same approach that we show in the book. We have a CI for each of the chapters. Obviously, there were some things that we would have loved to do, which would be like creating the infrastructure with Terraform in the CI and things like that. We didn't do that. We validated that the code was formatted and other stuff. But yeah, you need to put yourself in a place where you can have that in place as soon as possible, and then you only focus on the delivery dates and the chapters. No?
I'm curious, do you start with like the coding project and write along that, like how you took, like, for instance, the the Kanban app, did you kind of start with that and then deploy it and write each step of the way, or how do you plan content as far as that goes?
We
Does
had
that
the
make sense or
idea.
no?
Yeah,
It does make sense.
We had the
Okay.
idea of an app. We knew that we wanted to deploy an app. We didn't know
Yeah.
what said app was. And then it was, so when we did the proposal, we already had split it into chapter 2 will probably be about this, then chapter 3 about this. And it did roughly kind of, I think maybe 1 or 2 things changed for when we actually started writing. But it was, I think you kind of sat down and thought, right, what are the steps that go into deploying an application? And kind of wrote those down, and then it came from there naturally. So you were thinking, oh, well, you have to package the application, and then you would want to do your CI pipeline, and then you'd want to automate your infrastructure, and you'd want to do this, and you'd want to do that. So it wasn't necessarily we already had the app and we just went through, but we did like sit down and go from start to finish.
I think the answer is that there were a lot of unknowns, and if you are planning to write a book, there will be a lot of unknowns, and you are working a project, there will be a lot of unknowns.
Yeah, for sure.
We knew roughly what the application had to have. No, we wanted to show why it's beautiful and why it's useful to have a distributed Erlang cluster, and we knew also that because that was in the proposal. And we also knew that we need to stress the application somehow because we need to show how the autoscaling works and how the cluster grows and shrinks. No? Those were the things that we knew. But we were already writing chapters and we still didn't have the application. And we were talking with friends and colleagues and saying, hey, do you have any ideas about the application? We need this. What would be a nice thing? And in this case, Ricardo Garcia, I mean, he's a really good friend of us, and he said, wow, we can just do the Kanban application. I implemented this in React and Phoenix in the past, and I've been wanting to move away from that and use Phoenix like you do that. And that would make super easy to explain distributed Erlang. So it was his idea. And then we explained to him and we built together the other stuff in that application, which is the thing that lets you stress the cluster. By the way, we do that by spawning, by also using distributed Erlang, and we spawn lots of Fibonacci processes in all the nodes in the cluster because we needed to stress the application evenly in order to trigger the autoscaling in a way that would make sense visually. So yeah, we didn't know all of that, and the outcome now, I think it's beautiful. We wanted to have something deployed for today and maybe share it with you, but we missed that. But maybe we can try to create a video and share it later with you because it's really cool, the outcome. And we didn't plan it extensively beforehand. We knew
roughly
what we wanted.
Like anytime you guys want to come back on, just reach out and we'll do it. Like,
maybe we can come with Z and also with Ricardo.
Yes, drag him. That would be amazing. I'm gonna get him on. He can only avoid me so long.
Yeah. And what about Germán Velasco? Have you ever had him? We are completely obsessed with him.
No, I don't think so. What was his name?
Germán Velasco.
Germán Velasco. You spell it like German.
Yeah.
German Velasco is how you spell it.
Oh, yeah. He just booked. I have him coming on.
Oh, he's great.
Let me look at my calendar. When is he? Yeah, I love his content. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
I love his soul.
Yeah, he's super nice. Super generous, super kind.
Where am I?
Super fun.
Oh, I think he's coming on in March. March 14th.
Oh, well, we'll definitely tune in.
Yeah. He took a while to get booked because he was really busy too. And then like, you mean to circle back? I need a better way to organize my life because I'll usually just find people on Twitter, right? And I'll DM them. And then like, if I don't hear back, I'll usually, bug them one more time and then I leave them alone. But like he responded, he's like, oh, I'm so busy. Let's reconnect in like 2 months. I dropped the ball and like reached out back in like 6 months, but we finally got it booked. So yeah, it'll be good to have. It's German. Is that or is it Germain?
German.
You pronounce it German, so it's like a
Oh, Herman.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. See, I'm horrible. I'm
Yeah.
like, I butcher everyone. Like everyone with a foreign name, I just Americanize it and butcher it, and I feel bad. But
I think he's used to it. I think everyone, when they first meet him, calls him German.
okay.
Because that's how it's spelled. So I
But
don't
now
think he'd be
I'll
able to-
remember and I'll do it right with him
You'll
on the
impress him.
podcast. You know.
Yeah,
Well,
don't worry.
unless he
I
listens to
butcher,
this one.
I butcher English all the time, so it's fine.
Yeah, and he just started a podcast that looks a lot of fun, like Elixir Friends, I think. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's less, I would say, kind of Elixir focused, and it's more just that general chit chat.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. It's very relaxed.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great.
And we went there. He invited us, and yeah, I just remember the story about the marathon. Yeah, it's funny. You don't know this story.
I don't.
Oh no, because we explained it in Spanish. That's why. Also.
Of course.
Go on then.
Yeah, so I went on a marathon, but it wasn't like a proper marathon. I just said to Ellie, I'm going for a run. And then I did 43K. And she thought I was dead.
Yeah, I thought he died, but there's a lot more context behind that than just I don't think he can run. So the day before he'd done 50 kilometers on his bike or cycling, and then he went on a 10K run.
Yeah.
And when he got back from his run the day before, he'd said, I felt really dizzy on my run. I had to stop and go to the supermarket and eat
Some chicken.
yeah, I had to get some chicken, and I was eating chicken on the side of the road with an energy drink, blah, blah, blah.
And then I finished the run.
And then he finished the run and then he came home. And so the following day, he said, I'm going for a run. And I thought, cool. I assumed he'd be back in like an hour and 15 minutes, if that's how long he would do, like 10, 15K. And about 2.5 hours later, he hadn't said anything and hadn't come back. And I was thinking, where is he? Thinking, wow, has he fainted somewhere or has something happened again? And so I called his phone and it went straight to voicemail. And I thought, that's a bit weird. Didn't think anything of it. And then about half an hour, 45 minutes later, I called him again and he didn't pick up again, or it went straight to voicemail. And
I was trying to save battery.
His phone was off, but I obviously didn't know that. And then about 45 minutes later, again, I texted him saying, are you alive? And then he didn't. And then on WhatsApp, it had the 1 tick rather than 2. So I knew that there was something weird going on with his phone. And about an hour after that, I was then like, wow, I think he's died. I don't know why he's not responding. I don't know where he's gone for a run, because I wasn't thinking that he was going to do a marathon, because I don't think you've never gone on a marathon run just for fun before.
No.
So then I panicked.
You just did a marathon for fun, or was it an event?
No, it was for fun.
It was for fun. I mean, it was a New Year resolution. And I didn't want to wait for a competition, things like that. I just want to see how I would feel. And that's it, yeah.
Whereas I would only run a marathon if I got a big fat medal at the end. But
I used to do that stuff. I haven't ran a marathon in a long time.
Oh, well, I still haven't run one. But anyway, so he was out and he wasn't replying to my call. I'd messaged him saying, are you alive? And then when he didn't come home after probably about 5.25 hours, I was then starting to get worried. And I thought, wow, I'm going to have to go to the police and tell them that my boyfriend's got lost, that he's probably died. And he was running next to a canal or a river. And I had just had this image of him falling over his own feet, or because he was so tired, falling face down into the river, being
can you imagine?
Couldn't breathe, obviously, then drowned.
I mean, that would be horrible.
It would be horrible. And then I was thinking, if I go to the police and then ask them, where is he? Are they going to think that I've killed him?
Why?
And then I've made a joke because I've texted him saying, are you alive? Haha. And then they're going to think that I'm some sick person making some weird joke. I don't know. But anyway, he came back half an hour later and is alive to this day.
Yeah. 4 hours it took me. It was a really bad.
Oh, it was longer than 4 hours.
Yeah, it was really bad.
5.5.
Yeah, it was a disaster. 5 hours. No, it was almost 5. It was really, really bad time, bad pace. But I did it.
You did it, and now you have now you can get a PR, and when you do it again, you can get a better time.
Yeah, exactly, for sure,
That's
for
true.
sure. I mean, I did it without. I had some water with me, but I didn't have any like supplements or anything like that. I think I stopped halfway, and I had like a shortbread and an americano, but I didn't have like any caffeine or things like that. So, and there
Yeah,
was
an
a moment.
Americano is not going to help you in a marathon.
No, no. And I remember when I started feeling the pain in my joints and things like that. Wow, I've never felt this before because I think I never did like 30K before.
Yeah.
And I think the pain starts after 30K. The proper pain.
Well, they say you hit a wall at like 35.
Yeah.
So, I
Yeah.
don't know.
I'm bad at kilometers, but yeah, like between 16 and 18 miles is that wall.
Yeah, that's probably about then. Yeah.
18 miles?
18 miles is probably like 30K.
Yeah.
Because a marathon in miles is 26.2.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I need to do it again.
I did an Ironman once, and I probably won't do another one because it was just like, it was fun. Like, I'm glad I did it, right? But it was like it was another job because I woke up before work. I would work out for 2 hours.
Right.
I would work out for 2 hours after work. And then my weekends, one day, like I think Sunday was my rest day, but Saturday I was out, half the day doing two of the three.
So,
How long was the cycle in an Ironman?
It's 112 miles.
Oof, that's long.
no está mal.
That is long.
How long? It took you to do those.
I did the whole Ironman in 12 hours and 26 minutes.
Oh,
Muy bien.
112 miles to kilometers. I'll ask Google. It's like 180 kilometers on the bike.
that is long.
I think I would be really, really bad at swimming.
Swimming's hard.
Yeah.
The swimming is like it's a mental game because you're swimming in a group of people. So you have to kind of be defensive because you're like in a swarm of people. So like you feel like you're getting drowned, because everyone's splashing all around you. There's people that are trying to swim between your legs, and like it's wild. But
Wow.
Where did you do it? Is it in a river or in the sea?
I did it in a lake. It was in Wisconsin here, yeah. So I did it in a lake, and it was just like to a buoy, around a buoy, and back. And it was, what is that? I think it's like 2.1 miles. I can't remember. So like a little over 3.3 kilometers.
Wow, that's a long swim. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, 12 hours is a long time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's a good time, but that's a long time to be exercising.
Well, it's not an amazing time, but it's like good for like a random person, I think,
Yeah.
Because there's crazy, like what is the world champion best Ironman time? 7 hours and 21 minutes. Like, that's wild. So someone is twice as fast as me, pretty much.
Yeah. And it only took me 2 hours less to do the marathon.
Well, but next time you'll do it way better. And honestly, doing an event is like you're more amped up when you're running with other people. So you're true. And you have water stations, and like I haven't done any of these events in a while, but I would set a timer on my watch to like remind me to take electrolytes and like eat something, and because you don't want to ever like have that crash where you feel ill and have to go eat chicken in the middle of your run.
Yeah. Or a shortbread in an americano.
Exactly.
Yeah. Next time I'm going to set a timer for an americano.
Like, I think coffee does what you don't want to happen on a run, But well, guys, this was awesome. I really appreciate you guys coming on, and for everyone out there, go read their book. And I'm spacing on the actual title. You should hold it up and say the full title again. Yeah, Engineering Elixir Applications.
Yeah.
There you go.
Go get your physical copies now.
Yeah, and don't hesitate to contact us if you have any doubts or you want to talk about anything
true,
in the
yeah.
book. Just reach out.
Yeah, if you have any questions about anything.
Yeah, where
I think
can
we're easy.
people find you? Because social media, I tried to find both of you, but I think Ellie doesn't exist on social media. Josep,
I'm
you're
a bit
on-
active on LinkedIn.
You're on X,
I'm a bit
right?
active.
LinkedIn.
Yes.
Yeah, you
Okay.
have Twitter, but we never really use it.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably LinkedIn.
LinkedIn
Yeah.
is the best
LinkedIn
place.
or through the website. There is a form to send us an email.
Oh,
We can.
perfect. I'll
Sure.
share all those links in the show notes when I update them, so everyone can find both of you. And yeah, I highly recommend this book. It's good. It's honestly it's what your typical bootstrap startup Elixir developer needs to like get their app in production. So I think it's
Thank you.
awesome. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks. I hope anyone that reads it enjoys it. So
Yeah.
It's awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone who tuned in. I don't know if so apparently on X we have 126 people watching, but I don't know if
Nice.
those numbers are right. But yeah. All right, guys. Thank you. Have a good weekend. Testing.